And welcome back to another video. Today, John Locke. No crazy voices today. I can't read that long doing a crazy voice. So we're just sticking with the regular DJ Mr. Brown voice. Today, John Locke, we're going to read over this article, and it's a rather complicated one, so please stick with me. It's a little bit long, but also it's the foundation of the United States, so it's pretty important. John Locke was a 17th century English thinker, also a character on the show Lost, but that's another story. He is famous for his ideas of three issues. How should we teach our children? Who should rule over us? And what should we do about people who have different beliefs? Locke was born in 1632. When he was 10 years old, when the English Civil War broke out, much similar to Hobbes. His father became captain in the army. King Charles I was put to death near where Locke was studying. The screams of the crowd marked him deeply. Locke went on to study medicine. He planned to be a doctor. His life changed when he met Anthony Cooper. Cooper came to Oxford to look for a cure for his liver disease. Cooper asked Locke to join his household. The offer was hard to resist. Locke began to engage in the great debates of the day. Locke also helped find a cure for Cooper's liver. The first question of the great debates was what to do with people having different beliefs. King Henry VIII had broken away from the Catholic Church. The English had started questioning the church. Some said the king should control the church. Locke became one of the top champions of freedom. He argued that the final aim of the state or government was just to keep the peace and quiet. Religion was a choice. Churches were open to choose. They could set their own rules. The idea of locking up people for their beliefs started to fade away. Other nations looked with envy at England. It was a place where what you happened to believe was personal. This was a truly amazing change. In 1689, he wrote his second book called The Two Treatises of Government. This book tried to answer who should rule the country. One common idea was that the power came from God. Thomas Hobbes said that the power of kings was from their skill to keep the peace. He said that before kings, there was a time he called the state of nature. Hobbes said anything better than the violence of the Stone Age was legal. Rulers have no duty to promise freedom. If you recall, Hobbes believed a strong, powerful bully could be the leader as long as he protected everyone else from being hurt or afraid. So the stronger the leader, the better. You might not have a lot of rights and they could do whatever they want, but at least they were keeping you alive. Locke did not agree. He tore down the claim that God had created the kings. He took on Hobbes' idea about the state of nature. Locke agreed that before kings, there would have been a state of nature, but he said it would have been peaceful, much similar to Rousseau. In agreeing to submit to a king, people have not agreed to give up all their rights. In fact, they had rights no ruler could ever take away, and he called those inalienable rights. Those rights are the basis of the Declaration of Independence. Thomas Jefferson took that idea and put it in the Declaration. We have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now you might think, well, whose happiness? If it makes me happy to steal your stuff, then that doesn't leave you happy. So according to the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the Supreme Court, you are allowed your happiness as long as it doesn't take away from someone else's happiness. He also talked about education. One of the things he believed was against what people believed in general, At that time, people believed in general you were born as a child and you had your beliefs already in you. You were hardwired. So you were born and your brain was set. You believed what you believed. You were either a good person or a bad person. You did things based on how you were made. Locke, on the other hand, believed that when you were born, you're an empty vessel. Your brain is just nothing. And people educate you, and that decides the kind of person you become. So he believed education was the number one most important thing that could happen to a person. Everything you become was based on people who educated you. And so he was against, say, a maid who would tell kids during the day, back in the day, scary stories about goblins and witches that come out at night, because he believed then children learned that the night is scary, when in fact it's just a darker part. So he believed everything you learn as a child affects who you are as an adult. He also believed that most of the core parts of our Constitution come from his beliefs: the belief in freedom of religion, the belief in freedom of speech, even the right to bear arms. He believed that a government, or the Leviathan, as Hobbes calls it, is this entity that protects you. But as soon as you are not protected anymore, or you feel like the government has gotten too big or it doesn't do what you want, then the people have the right to overthrow them and protest and revolt. So the idea of revolting against someone was what the colonists used when they protested, rioted, and kicked out the king. They also built that into our Constitution with the right to bear arms, the Second Amendment. Locke believed, just like the founding fathers, that if a government doesn't do what you want, or they don't serve you, or they are corrupt, then the people should have weapons that they could overthrow the government with. And that's how we got the Second Amendment into our Constitution, so that people could overthrow a government if they feel like the government isn't living up to what they agreed in their social contract. Remember, the social contract is where people give up some of their rights to a leader or government to be kept safe or to be protected. So by giving up certain rights to the king or the president or the government, you ask them to keep you safe or to protect you or to do whatever the laws are, uphold the laws. If they don't uphold the laws, then you have the right to overthrow them. So that is how Locke differs from Hobbes and Rousseau. I hope you enjoyed this reading. Have a great day.
Society in the first place, on experience, from the simple it's the forerunner of our own pen to them later in life, which meant science, that we believe in religious toleration, that we believe that governments should not tyrannize their subjects, and that we try so hard to give our own children good childhoods.
I've got peace like a river, I've got love like an ocean, I've got joy like a fountain.